Hey, Ron's Bass Lessons here. Foreigner Waiting for a Girl Like You. It's in the key of B flat. This is kind of a special opportunity for the bass player since there's really no guitar to be found in this song. So you're the featured soloist, say. Okay, so I did a cover of it as I always do, but I'll just isolate the parts here. And then, of course, as always, if you want my copy of my handmade tab, my interpretation, just email me. The email will be in the description, not description, but the at the end of the video. Boom Boom the Bass Player at Gmail. Okay, so the intro starts on. It's in B flat, of course, and so it's just B flat to F. You can do it down here too. I just think it sounds more fat up here, and I'm guessing that's how they did it. But so it's just 6th fret B flat. You're going to hammer on below it from E flat to F, 6 to 8, and then you're going to end up on the octave of the B flat. That's stating the B flat chord. And then you're going to do the F chord by stating the octave, the 5th, and the root of the F chord. 3rd and 1st fret, top 3 strings. So I just played a few times, so in case you didn't have to keep rewinding the video if you want to hear it again. Okay. So the verses then are also starting B flat, and it's just kind of like pumping with the beat. And they kind of, if you know anything about music theory, they, according to the way it sounds and the way it's been transcribed when I've seen it, is it goes over the bar line at the end of the measure. So and 1, okay. So it just pumps on that B flat, and then the first verse is actually a little different than the second verse, but we'll get to that in a second. So it goes from B flat, and then it goes again to F, but now you're playing on the high octave, and there's a little riff that the bass plays, which is very, very trademark. So it's like. So that's an F there on the 8th fret, and then similar, you're going to hammer on the next 2 strings down, okay, and then you're going to. Now, some people may argue that that's not exactly precisely what is being played on the record, but to me it works fine, and it's darn close if it's not. So you got 8, so you're all here on 8 and 10. Okay, and he does it twice, and then he leads into the pre-chorus, which is going to come up to F sharp. And I like to do a couple of passing tones since they use B flat and they use G sharp, A flat, and F sharp. After I finish it the second time, okay, so it just pumps from F sharp to G sharp on the 2nd and the 4th frets on the top string prior to the chorus. And it looks like the way I have it transcribed, it's 4 times through that, and then it goes into the chorus. So there's a little pause before the chorus, and then again, the chorus is going to start on E flat, but there's a little ghosty transition notes that I think sound good, and I think he's doing something like this too, if not this exact thing. So okay, so I go from G sharp to B flat again, staying in the notes that are definitely in the song, and I think sound sweet. So So you're going to go similarly on the chorus. You're going to pump on the E flat. Now it's going to make its way from E flat down to B for the chorus, and then there's another the other main riff in the song. So it's like. And it does that twice in a row. That little C, well, yes and no. It does the E flat thing again, but between the part where it does that high riff, it goes back and sits on G sharp for a second. So, but let's go over that riff first. So, you're pumping on E flat on the 6th fret, and then you're stepping on C sharp on the 4th fret as your transition note to get to the B. You can do it down here, but I personally like it up here. I think the fingering's better. So, okay, so it's like it's the same rhythm when it hits the B after the E flat. It's da 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 da, and it da, okay, and then the riff. This is the hardest riff in the song, I think, because the timing is really syncopated. You just got to feel it out yourself. So it goes from B real quick. It goes B, E flat, and then it hammers on down here on the 6th and 8th fret, which would be G sharp to F sharp, and down to the bottom, slides all the way up to the 10th fret, which is an F, and ends up resolving on this E flat again. So I'll do that whole sequence slow. Okay, again, people may argue that may not be exactly what that bass player is playing, but it's darn close, and to me it feels just fine. So so on the chorus, it does that sequence twice. Okay. Now on the first verse, when it finishes that, then it sits on the is it the F? Yeah, it sits on the F again, but it only does this on the first time through. Okay, the second verse it goes right to the pre-chorus. So. And then so after sitting on that F for a couple of measures, then it goes back, and it resolves as it does on both choruses on the G sharp. That's how all the choruses end. And again, you got transition note options. I just like to go from the F sharp to the G sharp, so it's like. Okay, and then after it resolves after the chorus, it goes back to that intro. But the first time on the intro stuff on the B flat, it does it 4 times between the 2 verses. It only does it twice. And then goes back into the second verse. Same deal. Again, you can use a transition note if you want. So I like to go hammer on G sharp to B flat and then hit my E flat. Okay. Actually, I'm sorry, that's after the verse. So the verse is the same. The first part of the verse is the same as the first verse. You just, on the okay. And then you do go to that F and do that riff again. Okay, you're still the same as the first verse here. Okay, the difference is when you finish that, you don't go back and sit on that F like you did on the octave F here, like you did the first time. You go right into the pre-chorus. Then you're going to play the chorus the same way, and then you're going to end that chorus again, resolving on the G sharp, and then it's going to be an 8-beat pause, and then all you're going to do is vamp out the song on the intro, and again you can hear him do the sort of the ghost notes, G sharp to A before he goes back on the B flat, and repeats the intro. So it's like, so you know, just 4 or 5. And then on the record they fade, so obviously everyone will figure it out how to end it. But there is one other little thing he does on that outro. Instead of going back to the low F, and I'm not really sure of of the theory of why this works, but he actually goes up to a C a couple of times through, and just you can just listen to it. You don't have to copy it, but it's on there somewhere. So it's like. Okay, which is 10th fret on the D string, which is a C. And that's it. It just fades on the record. So as always, I'll have the cover up. You know, again, email me if you want the tabs. Emails at the end of the video. boomboomthebassplayer@gmail. Thanks for watching, and if you're getting something out of it, of course, like everybody else on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Thank you.